Welcome into Celtics Late Night. Ben Vallis here, along with Jake Eisenberg. A couple of sad boys here in Late Night Live here on YouTube after a pretty disgusting effort by the Celtics, Jake, losing in just terrible fashion, 118-94 to the hot shooting Cleveland Cavs. Tough one.
This sucks. And there's a variety of ways to react to this one. In the Discord, we got people no happy people, but the world is ending. This team can't win the title. This means nothing. It's just a fake shooting night. Devil magic. People in the chat here being like they found the damn devil magic. Why does this keep happening to us? For me, this is like Jalen said it in his press conference, man. But like unacceptable defensive effort. Like this is just it's not good enough, man. Like. Shout out Blorp. Still able to comment on the YouTube when he's pooping. It's really important they're able to get these comments in. Appreciate you. It's just not good enough, man. Like the defensive effort intensity from the jump, from like throughout the game, from pretty much everyone really, I thought was really lackluster. And like I've been talking about controlling the things you can control, and defensive effort, defensive intensity is like so in your control, man. And they let the missed shots impact their defense, and then it became a snowball and the game was over. And it's really disappointing to see them like go down like with a fucking whimper.
Yeah, I feel like Blorp is going to be more productive on the toilet tonight than the Celtics were in 48 minutes on the court. It was rough, man. Like I guess to try and point the finger blame-wise, because the Celtics were bad on both ends. Offensively, terrible, no fluidity. Their process was awful. Getting into their sets, just getting the ball over the halfway line, really just everything offensively felt difficult for them. Defensively, very much the same. Falling asleep on switches, not getting out to shooters, not collapsing and defending the rim. It was really just a dog's breakfast in all facets on both sides of the ball. If you had to pick one thing that you think was the catalyst for this bed shitting, Jake, what would you choose?
Yeah, you can call it intensity, you can call it effort, you can call it execution, but defensively, not good enough. And then the pace and the tempo. Like, this team is so good when they play decisively and with pace. And they didn't do that tonight. There was like a tiny little stretch where it felt like they might be getting back in the game. We had back-to-back and ones from 1J each. One and one from Tatum, another stop, and an and one from Jalen. They both made their free throws, and it was like, okay, these possessions came off decisive physical attacks, getting downhill, and they were rewarded with fouls, and they were rewarded with and ones, and then they brought it back on the other end, and then again, the rope was just completely let go. So tempo and defensive effort and execution. And then individually, I can't go. I think everybody deserves a lot of blame, but I can't go past Tatum. And I don't want to give like the injury excuse, but like he doesn't look right to me through the playoffs overall. But tonight especially, because what I love about Tatum is his ability to impact the game without scoring. Be an elite defender, be an elite rebounder. He overwhelmed the game as a 6'9" athlete, and he just wasn't able to do that. Wasn't able to do that at all. Wasn't willing to do that at all, and it's really disappointing.
He had one drive out of the corner. I can't remember who was guarding him. It was either Garland or it might have been Garland, which doesn't say a lot as far as the resistance he faced, but where he caught the ball and then immediately reacted, drove, put the ball on the floor, and was like a flash to the rim. And I think he had an and one on that play, or at least got to the line. That was a singular event in this one. And yes, he got to the line early, and that looked like it was maybe going to be a productive night for Tatum. And yeah, if you look at the stat line, it doesn't look all that bad. But he looked old out there, man. Like for the first time in his career, he looked sluggish, getting really easily beat off the dribble. Not the first to his spots, offensively speaking. It just didn't feel like he had it on either end. And that was kind of shocking because everything that has been positioned as like an anti-Tatum remark up until this point has been like about his approach. And even in just the last game, it was like, well, he was deferring too much, but he was doing so to the team's benefit. And we were generating really high-level offense as a result. In this game, he tried to go... he tried to take matters into his own hands a little bit more, and it just didn't seem like he could get to where he wanted to go. It was really, shocking is the word that keeps coming to mind.
It's frustrating. And also, shout out Murden in the chat for the super chat. I am prepared for them to lose game 3 in the hopes they start taking the playoffs seriously. Mentally, this is the ebbs and flows of the playoffs. You win game 1, and you're like, 5-game series. We're going to the championship, easy peasy. You lose game 2, and the sky is falling. But this is kind of what the Celtics do, as we've learned over the past couple of years. But yeah, Tatum early, and they got up to that 14-5 start, which and they looked good. And Tatum was getting downhill. He missed 2 layups early, and really nice moves. A left-handed look on Mobley and another one, and it's hard to point to like those 2 layups as something that could have changed the trajectory of the game, but they were early enough in the game where they were about to build. They could have built like a 12, 14 point lead or kept a double-digit lead, and also would have like helped him maintain that aggressive mentality, build that confidence. And those 2 don't go down, and it never really felt like he had a flow offensively for the rest of the game. He had that incredible pull-up 3, that spin move. He made like either 1 or 2, I forget. But then he got Max Strus on him when the ball was swung to him, and he just refused to take any other shot than the pull-up 3 when he had like a very wide driving lane with his right hand that he could have taken if he was willing to just like put his shoulder down and bump Max Strus off his spot, and then go from there. And then maybe you get in the post, and then you hit a pump fake, then you go from there. But he's desperately wanted to go to the pull-up 3. It's really frustrating. But like, I can live with the fucking missed shots, but the defense, you're right, man. He just didn't look right. Like getting blown by Karis LeVert, weird.
Yeah, very weird. Hopefully a one-off, because I mean it's not like we've seen this like peak athleticism Tatum really thus far in the playoffs at all at this point, this postseason, but we've been able to come up for reasons why. And the deference and like the true superstar, extreme example, but Michael Jordan had to learn to pass and play within the triangle system. Tatum having to adjust to be more deferential is part of the Celtics' success to this point. And true fans and people who follow the team closely have kind of been begging for that approach from Tatum's perspective for years now. And yet, like, there does seem to be this sort of reduced physical athletic capacity so far in the playoffs. And tonight was the first night where it really mattered. Tonight was the first night where we really needed him to be better than Donovan Mitchell, to show he was the best player on the court and assert himself. And then I'll attribute some of that to Jalen as well, who disappeared for large portions of this game. And there was some discussion in our playback whether or not that was Jalen's fault specifically, or if we were just not really going to him as much as we should have offensively. I'm of the mindset that, like, if you're that kind of player, you need to kind of go after the ball, demand it, and put it on the floor and make something happen. And we just lacked that. Like, Donovan Mitchell was making shit happen all night. Our best players needed to assert themselves, make some shit happen, and they just didn't. And yeah, unfortunately, and alarmingly so in Tatum's case, it seemed like there was something physical going on there. I don't know what the etiquette is in like the media scrum after the game. I would love to have been able to just be like, dude, what's going on? You injured, bro? Yeah. Like, is it the ankle sprain from the Bam situation? Is there something else going on? Did you like have a bad curry last night? You're just feeling got something in your tummy going on, Tatum's tummy? Because something was up. So we'll see. Tatum's doing his post-game presser now, and he's just saying like the Celtics just shot poorly, and this one seems to be at least what he's willing to say publicly. That's his reasoning for this one.
Yeah, and you want to see the mentality. And a lot of this playoffs has been like Celtics fans defending Tatum because he hasn't had the awesome scoring numbers. But like, really, up until today, I don't know up until today, but it just felt like he's mostly made the right play, and then the team has just played well outside of that. but they weren't able to get any flow going. And that's when you need your superstar to take control of the game and be the guy that gives you a chance to win the game. And he's hasn't needed to be able to do that so far, but wasn't able to do that tonight. And yeah, is it the ankle thing from Bam? There was some intense internet sleuthing going on. Someone noticed on March 3rd in Tatum's locker, there was like some plantar fasciitis equipment in the locker behind him, which never really became a story. But like, is he injured, or is he just like not playing well? Is there something going on? But that's what's confusing to me. Is it just like a mentality thing? Because that's what has always given him a really high floor, has been the defense, the rebounding, and that wasn't there today. And like, is he just going to come out in game 3 and we're going to see it? But it's confounding to me to see him play like this. There was one play where Al and Tatum trapped Donovan Mitchell, and they did a good job, and they forced Mitchell into the paint, who kicked it to the wing, and whoever was covering the corner covered the shooter there, who swung it to Strus in the corner, and Strus hit a 3. Tatum and Al get to the paint, and Horford is the one that busts his ass to close out to Strus and doesn't even get close to contest. And Tatum just stops once he gets to the paint. And how is Horford the guy that's the one busting his ass to get to the fucking shooter, and Tatum's the one that's not? It's like he's the guy who should just be continuing that path straight out to the shooter and making it difficult for Strus to get that shot off. But he just didn't give that second effort. And that's the story.
Well, yeah, and the falling asleep on that Garland switch as well, where Garland brought the ball up. He just got winded on a rebound.
Injured.
He was clearly limited, and then Tatum just completely like walked away from him instead of actually taking the switch and stepping up to him on the 3-point arc. And it was a wide open 3 for even a limited Garland in that moment was easily able to make as an elite NBA player. Just the mentality in that moment, or lack thereof, to just step away from that defensive assignment rather than towards it. Like, you're our best player, dude, on both sides of the ball. What the fuck are you doing? So extremely frustrating. And now we're faced, fortunately, not with a 2-day break, but a 1-day break where we just have to sit there listening to all the podcasts, all the narratives. My advice is like, listen to it all, watch it all, be molded by it, Jake. Like, this is where we earn our stripes as fans, right? It's like, you have to go through the bullshit that is that game. So frustrating, where it's like a friend who sort of has a bad reputation for being unreliable, for letting you down. Then you give them a second chance and they just like no show again. It's so fucking frustrating. But then subsequently listening to all of the podcasts and all the Bill Simmons, Tatum's nothing like Anthony Edwards, all that stuff, take it in, absorb it, because when they come out and probably blow the Cavs out on the home floor in game 3, it's going to be very satisfying. So we've kind of talked about why we feel the Celtics lost this game at a macro level, at an individual level. There's some more stuff we can get into, but I want to ask you, and I asked you this, Jake, on our immediate reaction show that we're doing now live on YouTube after each game, but how does this game 2 loss in your mind compare to that of the game 2 loss in the Heat series? I've sort of been going back and forward in my mind about which one is worse since we had that initial conversation, but how are you feeling?
I feel less bad after that loss than I do after the Heat loss, which I probably shouldn't. It should probably be the other way around now that we have the hindsight of the Heat loss, because the Heat loss, that was Devil Magic shooting variance. Like, they shot 43 threes and made 20 of them. Like, that was, I don't even remember, but close to that. 23 threes, 23 from 43. Tonight, the Cavs shot 50% from 3, which is obviously an insane number, but they only shot like 22 threes total in the game. 28 for the game, but like, I think some of that is skewed by the last bit of the fourth quarter here. If I have a look, they were 3 for 8 in the fourth quarter. And the game was pretty much over, where their bench guys didn't make any shots. The Heat game, you can kind of chalk up to a Devil Magic loss. This is like a mentality loss. This is like a we didn't respect our opponent loss, or we weren't willing to fight loss. Like, you watch it how the Knicks are approaching every game, dude. They're like willing to die for every single rebound. And you have to look, I don't want to do it, but you got to do it. You look at what Minnesota's doing over in Denver and the way they played in Game 2 after winning Game 1. They mission accomplished. They split games in Denver after winning Game 1. And what did they do? They cranked it up to a whole new level while missing Rudy Gobert in Game 2 and made Denver look the worst they've looked in like the prime Jokic era. And the Celtics came out today with a much inferior opponent and were willing to let go of the rope. And that's what's frustrating. They didn't show mental toughness in the slightest, which is, I think it's fair to be concerned long term. Like when you're trying to win a title, if the goal is fucking win a title, your margin for error at some point is going to be smaller. Right now, it's fine. You're playing the Heat, you're playing the Cavs. It probably isn't going to matter in the context of this series. Might not even matter next series. But like, if you are willing to punt games, not in the finals, you might lose games where you play awesome against the Thunder, the Wolves, or the Nuggets. You can't just bank on playing awesome 4 times and winning every one of those games.
Mm-hmm. Can I throw some spin on that? I think
Yes.
maybe apologies in advance. And folks in the chat, let me know what you think about this attempted spin. But the Celtics have flamed out during the deeper portions of playoff runs in recent history due to fatigue and overworking themselves in the latter parts of the regular season to get themselves into an advantageous playoff seed, and then battling even the 4-game sweep of the Nets. Like that was a physical, tough series. All the games are close. Then Milwaukee, tough. Heat, always tough. And then nothing left in the tank when it comes to the conference finals or the finals. Do you think that there's this notion of like, all right, we can afford to get through this without Kristaps playing at 75% effort? You know, be careful. Don't get yourself injured. We want to make sure we've got the legs when we get to the real challenge. I did apologize in advance.
You don't believe this.
This is where my brain takes me.
You said this was a must-win. You're the must-win guy.
Yeah. But if you can win it as a must at 75% effort, then that's an extra win. You're winning on multiple fronts. Yeah, like I said, I did apologize, but
that's a lizard brain take, and that's fine. Yep. I'll forgive you for that. No, dude, you gotta get out of this series as early as possible.
I know.
Yeah, that's how you get rest, and that's how you get fresh for the fucking finals. Is you get out of this series in 5 games or in 4 games. Which, hey, we might still get out of this series in 5 games. Eric Weiss in the chat. No. Aussie Field, give yourself an uppercut, Ben. I think those are fair responses to that one, but I appreciate the attempted spin.
I have no shame. No shame.
Yeah, like you can't just come out there and be like, oh well, next one, because who knows? Next time you can shoot 40% from 3, play awesome, but SGA has a 45-point bomb and you have nothing for him, and the Thunder, like the Thunder game that you played in OKC this season, the Celtics played well in that game and they lost by 4 points in a game that was just really good, that's just going to be the way games against really good teams go. So being willing to like hand over your margin of error is really dangerous to me. I've got a question for you, dude.
Sure.
Jaylen Brown, big fan personally.
Is it right?
How many times this season was it Jaylen Brown took the responsibility of guarding the best player, picking guys up full court, setting the tone defensively, being vocal about how he is setting the tone defensively? Where is that? I'm so confused. Like, where is the tone? We have the personnel to really impact the way that Cleveland's perimeter guys are playing. Donovan Mitchell is a superstar. Like, that's one thing. But like Darius Garland, Strus, Okoro, Mobley's fucking soft with the ball in his hands at times. Like, where is the physicality that the Timberwolves are playing with, the Knicks are playing with, the NBA is allowing teams to play with a heightened level of physicality? Meanwhile, the Celtics, maybe this is a Joe Mazzulla thing, where we're kind of willing to play our base defense, play in our drop, concede certain shots, play the maths. Mm-hmm. Where is the take the fucking punch them in the mouth, take the fight to them? We've got the personnel. We've got the physicality. We've got the defenders. Drew Holiday, Derek White. Let's fucking go, dude.
It's a really good question, and I'm going to give you an answer in a moment when we get back from a word from our sponsor, Prize Picks.
Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. March is over, but the biggest moments of college basketball tip off in the month of April. Be a part of the action on Prize Picks for both men's and women's college basketball. And get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. You can even make the play-in rounds seem interesting since we all know the Celtics won't be there. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 fantasy sports app. Personally, I'm looking at Derek White more on points because they are criminally low, and we all know Derek White is going to come up big in the postseason. So download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100.
That's right. You heard Spooner there. Prize Picks. Download the app. Use the code CLNS for a first deposit match of $100 and supplement your hoops viewing experience. Lots of fun. Now, Jaylen Brown, where was he at defensively? Why was he not taking the superstar level matchup like he did against, say, James Harden in Game 2 of the Sixers series last year? There were stretches of the game where he was taking that matchup, and it felt like, in hindsight, like he was doing it for the playoff reel because, again, in hindsight, it doesn't feel like it occurred enough throughout the game. But there were good possessions where Jaylen did a really good job defensively on Donovan Mitchell. I think if you went back and watched the game, you'd see multiple examples of that. But it wasn't like a pointed thing, right? It wasn't like a consistent, you've got him, make sure you pick him up. As soon as that ball comes out of the baseline, make sure you pick him up full court. You need to completely take this guy out of the game. Like, it wasn't there to that level, at least consistently throughout the game. And maybe they feel like they need to get back and, defend the drive a little bit and help on pick and roll coverages and play more of a team-based defensive effort. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that emphasized coming into Game 3 because you really got to take Donovan Mitchell out of the game because it was a tale of two halves for Donovan Mitchell in this one. Like, the first half, he finished with 6 assists. He was really solid as a ball handler in the pick and roll. And Joe Mazzulla talked about it after the game, but the Cavs were testing our pick and roll defense. And if you watch the first half, we kept coming off the roll man to sort of send 2 or 1.5 defenders at the ball, at the pick and roll ball handler, which in often many cases was Donovan Mitchell. And that led to a lot of those early Evan Mobley easy looks under the basket. We changed it up a little bit in the second half, and then Donovan Mitchell started shooting a lot more. I think he finished the first half with single-digit field goal attempts, and he exploded in the second half from a shooting perspective. But yeah, to answer your question, take that out of the equation completely. Take Donovan Mitchell out of the equation completely by face guarding him.
I would like that.
Face guarding him and forcing him to give up the ball before he even gets over half court. I don't think they've got one extremely talented player, tier 1, and then it's the next tier is maybe tier 3, at least in recent history. Just take him out of the game. It's a lot simpler than when it comes to defending the Celtics in that sense. So, yeah. I don't know where that was, Jake, but it was disappointing that it wasn't more prominent throughout the game.
Where was it? Where was
I
it? I don't understand. I really don't understand. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. And again, this is not me saying that they can't win the title because they can. They absolutely can. But it's so frustrating, man, because we know what they're capable of. They were the second best defense in the NBA this year. They were better than the Orlando Magic defensively across the season, and the Cavs did, according to Zach in the chat here, the Cavs' highest offensive rating against Orlando was 107. They gave 128 today. How do you get blown out? You don't get blown out all fucking year, and you get blown out in Game 2 at home against a team that you're just they were favored by 12.5 points or 13.5 points today. It's truly confounding. Shout out the Celtics. I made a lot of money today because I learned my lesson last series. Game 2, that's the game to bet on the opposing team. Apparently, can we go to a box and 1? I don't want to necessarily overreact from a scheme perspective. So much of today felt like the Cavs raised their physicality, raised their intensity, raised their focus, and the Celtics didn't. And they were never able to grab the rope. And like Jaylen Brown's been a guy that's really set the tone for us, and he didn't today. He felt invisible today, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he had his moments, but yeah, for the most part, just looking at the box score now, not that single game plus minus is, there's that much to take from that, but team low minus 29. I hear that's not very good. Yeah, like it just comes back to like your best players need to act like your best players. And if they want to be, look back on historically as the best players in certain series, like you need to make sure that you assert yourself in that sense. And it's so frustrating. We know who they are. We know who they can be. And the reason that we hold these guys to such a high standard, like we have been criticized on this show for being too critical of these guys, Jaylen and Jason in particular, in wins. It's because we know how good they can be and it should be on a more consistent basis. And it's just in this game, you just didn't have it from anybody. And, one of the great things about this roster, though, is that, we'll get to Pritchard in a second, but one of the great things about this...
Swing positive, but go ahead.
Oh, sure. One of the great things about this roster is the diverse talent on it. And, like, we got nothing from the stock exchange in this game on either end of the ball. Derek and Drew were horrendous. They were both so bad. And Al Horford, I just don't think he had much of a chance to assert himself in this one. If he got the ball, which he did a couple of times, close to the rim, the Cavs just did such a good job of this all night, swarming us under the rim and then getting out really quickly to shooters. So, like, we just didn't have what we usually get out of drive and kick scenarios. We just didn't have the fluidity there, and the Cavs were all over it. And then we didn't find Horford. Spoonie was all over this in the post-game reaction show. Horford was wide open from the corner on multiple instances, including that first possession of the game where Tatum got to the line, but he could have actually deferred and got Horford a wide open three. Mobley was just sinking into the paint, and Horford had many potential opportunities, but we just didn't get the ball to him. So we didn't really see anything from the diversity of our roster either. And you just you get used to that, resting on your laurels, at least as an observer of the team, that if one guy doesn't have it, then there's like 5 other guys who might have it. And no one fucking had it, which makes it so frustrating. And even then, there were times where it felt like we could get back into the game.
Yeah, dude. It felt like we were like one little run away in the late third quarter. And it was, okay, can we at least make this a game where we have a chance to steal it? Because then, the Garden was... I feel bad for people going to the Garden at these playoff games, man. We're officially 15-15 since the 2021 season. It's like, what is like that? And I thought they'd fix that problem coming into these playoffs because they were so dominant at home all year long, and now the 2 losses that they have so far are at home in the Garden, and it's like use the Garden to your advantage. All you needed to do was one run, and then the Cavs have been like bed shitters on the road in the playoffs so far. But that is kind of what it is, as the kids say.
Is raining super hard here at the moment, so apologies for the background noise. Xavier Tillman, we saw a bit more of the big teabag in this one, and he had good moments, like specifically defensively, going away from Luke and Al in drop and Tillman and Al switching. There were moments where it was like, how good is this? Our big switching everything. You can switch either of them onto Garland or Donovan Mitchell, and they can contain those guys to a sustainable degree. And then as time went on, it kind of had diminishing returns. And unfortunately, offensively, like the Cavs could just sag off Tillman, and that just completely wrecked our spacing even more. We kind of never really recovered from that, even when Tillman did go to the bench. And it re-raises the question, like how much playoff life does Tillman have, at least in Joe Mazzulla's scheme, where as soon as you get anyone on the court, and it's so rare that we even put anyone out there like this who doesn't have any 3-point shooting prowess, like how long can they last out there, given that a team that is well coached and well prepared will just start to sag off, clog the paint, and just have an extra defender to kick out to shooters if we do get them in rotation. So I don't know how much lifespan there is there for Tillman with all that considered.
I think you can play him. I think you can absolutely play him if you've got Horford out there. They went on that run in the late first, early second quarter with Tillman out there, and it was all because of the defense. So they were down 30-24. Tillman comes on, and they're able to get that thing back up to 42-37. So it was a big swing, and then it started to kind of even out again. And then they ended up closing the fucking quarter horrendously. Because, they eventually, that sparked them getting the lead up to 8 with 4 minutes to go in the first half. And I was like, okay, this is the moment. It was sparked by the defense. Tillman looked like he was going to die from exhaustion, so they got him back out. They got the lead up to 8 with 4 minutes to go. And then they let go of the rope. Mitchell jump shot. They lost a Okoro on a backdoor. Tatum missed just a floating weird shot, and that was their chance. Again, they had 2 chances in the first quarter and the second quarter to blow this thing out. And I thought that the second time was because of Tillman. And maybe it's not necessarily just a Tillman thing, but it's a switch everything thing, where you can switch everything with Horford out there. You can switch everything with Tillman and Horford out there. I do think, and this actually worked against the Cavs in the regular season, they went to a Lamar Stevens, Jason Tatum at the 5 lineup. That worked.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Evan Mobley, if he wants to post up Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, go for your life, man. I just don't think that he's going to kill you down there. But it allows you to switch everything, because I don't think you can live for a full game with Horford switching everything. It doesn't look like Tillman can play a full game switching everything. Cornette can't play in switches, really. And then Brissett, I know, maybe not the best player in the world, but for 5 to 6 minutes, because I do think defensive intensity and energy are going to be very impactful in this matchup where there's a big talent gap. And if you go to Brissett and Tatum at the 4-5, I think you can hold up against Mobley pretty easily, and that allows you to switch everything. And you've just got one guy out there that can't shoot, but he's giving you offensive rebounding. And if that's going to lead to actual intensity, I think it's worth trying, because the switch everything thing was by far the most effective in this game.
O'Shea Brissett, 100% from me on the arc tonight.
Hey, baby.
Missoula ball. Well, let me respond from this post-game quote from Tatum. So this is from Noah Dalzell, who's in the press room after the game, does great stuff for Celtics blog and CLNS. Jason Tatum cracked a smile when asked about how the Celtics will respond to being embarrassed on their home floor. Just get ready for Saturday. Nobody was in there defeated or deflated. You never want to lose, especially in the playoffs. So I don't think that they're, based on that, overreacting to this loss. And to get back to what you were saying, I don't think we should expect any major swings and adjustments from the Celtics, other than, it's kind of cliche and a cop-out to say, but just way more dialed up and intensive effort on both ends. Just be the fucking people we know you can be. Be the Celtics we know and love from this year. Yes, you could be crisp. You could go switch to a switch everything defense and then back to drop. With more randomness to discombobulate the Cavs.
Mm-hmm.
There is some scheming stuff that you could do better, but ultimately, I think it's pretty clear the fucking effort was just not there tonight on either end.
Yeah, Tatum never gives too much away in these press conferences. He was kind of a weird one as well. He addressed the super team stuff by basically saying, everyone thinks we're not supposed to win, we're not supposed to lose, we're supposed to win every game by 25 points. Everyone says we're a super team. We didn't get awards we're a super team, which I thought was. I think he's annoyed. He's probably annoyed. He doesn't show you a lot when they're winning by 25 or if they're losing by 25. The only time he's been really, really sad has been when they literally lost the finals, and kind of been knocked out in some other games. But yeah, I don't know. I do expect them to come out firing in the next game, obviously. That's what they do. Yeah. It's the underreact. They underreact. That's the problem.
Yeah. In the moments, they definitely underreact to adversity in singular games, in the vacuum of a single game. But I think Eric Weiss, you had this on Twitter earlier today. If there's one thing they've been consistent with, and I'm paraphrasing here, it's been how they respond in the following game. And so I feel bad for all those Cavs fans who have tickets for Game 3, Celtics Cavs, because everyone, I think, including the Cavs, expect the Celtics to come out.
This is the thing, though. The back against the wall Celtics have been incredible, but it's just like you don't want to fucking bank on that every time, man. Because at some point, the other team is going to play really well in that game too, and then all of a sudden
I fully agree.
down in the series. Yeah.
I don't think it's completely unreasonable to expect them to have more sustained effort levels against higher caliber opponents. Like, you come up against OKC, probably even the Knicks, because it's the Eastern Conference Finals, the stage that it's on. Like, I'm almost tripping myself up saying this because I'm like, don't get caught up in these mental traps, Ben. But like, you expect them to have more sustained energy and effort the higher the stakes get and the better the opponents get, and to not have that sort of false realization of, we can afford to go half-assed against this team. But obviously, incredibly speculative of me to even say that, and wishful thinking.
I think it's true. I think it's true. Mm-hmm. The problem is, you want to prepare yourself to be ready to give your maximum efforts. Your maximum efforts are going to be 5% more effective if you don't go to 7 games against the Cleveland Cavaliers in the second round when you shouldn't have, and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to. I like how you're trying to. You are talking me off the edge a little bit, and I'm like, no, Ben, no.
Come with me. Jump with me, Ben.
It's gonna be fine. We're gonna go to happy town.
We'll fly away. This was the first game where I was like, could really use that 7'3" Latvian guy since the injury, including the latter portion of the game that he went out in. It was like just a 7'3" anything in drop there, just contesting the rim would have been really nice in this one, and maybe enough. Not to mention the spacing on the other end.
I mean, like he's been unbelievable this year, and that's on a night where you're struggling. Maybe he's the guy that when you were talking about, there's always someone that kind of like gets him into gear. You're just missing another guy that has the capability to drop 30 and also play good defense on the other end. Like Cornette was struggling defensively, but maybe Porzingis was going to have more success in the drop today than he was. And so, wish he was here, man. Wish he was here, but we don't need him. We shouldn't need him.
Sweet jacket. Amazing jacket on the bench.
I've got the same one. It's beautiful to see him out there looking good.
Now, folks, while you're here, we've got a few of you here. Hit that like button. You personally would cheer me, and I'm sure Jacob as well, by hitting that like button and subscribing if you're new to the channel. Hitting that like button, subscribing, engaging with the channel in any way tells the YouTube algorithm to put this show in front of more people, which is obviously great for us and helps us lure better guests and things like that on the show. Not that we haven't already had amazing guests on the show on a regular basis. But I gotta just tell you this story. This seems like the right forum for it.
Please.
I had a weird day, like a kind of a cursed day. And this morning I get up, I've got a 3-year-old daughter, right? We put her in front of the TV while we like get our shit together for the day, like cook breakfast and like get her ready for daycare and stuff. She's obsessed with dinosaurs at the moment. Put her in front of a show she's watched 1,000 times. And it's like dinosaurs playing with balls, like basketballs, footballs, whatever, doing stuff. And I take a moment, I'm sitting there with my coffee and I watch a few minutes with her. I shit you not. The like dino master person gives a dinosaur a red ball and says, shoot this ball. The ball goes in the hoop and they say, yay, that ball is the color of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And that went into the hoop. Then they give the next dinosaur a green ball and the shot misses. And they said, you missed with that Boston Celtics green ball.
No, they didn't.
And I'm like, hang on a second. Wait, what the fuck is going on here? What the fuck is going on here? I call out my wife, Kristen, have you watched this before? And she's like, yeah, this is part of the show. How have you never seen this? I'm like, wait, there's a fucking Celtics Cavs game on today, a playoff game. This is bad. Turn this shit off right now. And my kid's looking at me like, well, first of all, what are all these new colorful words I'm hearing?
Calm down.
And I'm like, please don't turn it off. And I'm like, sorry, what's going on here? And I swear to God, that was the first thing that happened to me 5 minutes after getting out of bed today. And I was like, we're going to lose this game today. And maybe I'll never need to bring this up if we do win. But I had to tell you, Jake. I'm sorry. Just too weird not to tell.
Are you telling me that there is a consistent Cavs Celtics presence in this show? Or this is the first... Okay. Is it one-off?
12 episodes, and it's just one episode that I just happened to be sitting there for today.
What?
Yeah, I know.
That's scary. Well, man, I mean, I already bet on the Cavaliers, but if I would have known that, who knows? I guess that
Load it
shows
up.
banned from the house on game days at least.
Yeah, I was Ron Swanson like throwing the TV in the dumpster out there after that.
Who are these dinosaurs, dude? I mean, I wonder if these dinosaurs, they must be fair weather fans, LeBron James fans. These dinosaurs, they know what it's like to be a fan of a true franchise like the Boston Celtics.
So just a shocking mystic coincidence there before a Celtics lost to the Cavs. But clearly, if I'm bringing that up, I've basically got nothing else here, Jake. We have another.
Yeah, go ahead. Run the ad read. We'll go positive. We've got a couple of positives. Short list of positives after this.
All right, sounds good. But first, here's a word from Game Time.
The NBA playoffs have been awesome so far, so it's hard to not think about trying to get to a couple of games. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down closer to tip-off, which makes it great for last-minute decisions to maybe fly to Boston for the NBA Finals. My dad is literally on the way to Boston from Sydney right now for Game 1 of the second round, and he used Game Time to get his tickets. Game Time has awesome features like seat views. You get a sweet panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. You get a lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Game Time, legitimately good platform. Highly recommend using it if you need to buy tickets for literally anything, including Celtics games. Jake, it got your dad to Game 1. Did it get him to Game 2 as well?
No Game 2. Thankfully, he didn't fork out for Game 2. Maybe that's the problem. You got the dinosaur curse, and we didn't have the Michael Eisenberg curse, or the spell, Michael Eisenberg spell, for Game 2. So maybe that we'll blame it on Dad for not being at Game 2 there. But he had a great Game Time experience. I do positive wise. I think there's two players that I think deserve positive. Tillman, I think you can kind of put into the bucket, but. There's two guys I think that actually deserve proper positive praise. One, Peyton Pritchard. I thought he was excellent. He was 6 for 10, and only 1 for 4 from 3. So I thought he was excellent. He got a couple of offensive rebounds, 0
assists.
Turnovers, 4 assists. He was great. He pushed the pace. He was bodying. Was it a Coro or Garland in the post? He was good. He provided a real spark off the bench. To get 13 points and 4 assists from Pritchard in this game, that should be a guaranteed W, man. I'm sorry. You're getting that from your bench with this roster. That should be a huge win. I thought he was excellent. I thought they should have gone to him more, probably. Because he just always brings the energy, the pace. And we didn't see more from Pritchard, but I thought he was great in his minutes.
Yeah, proper positive praise for Peyton Pritchard. Is how you said it. 1 of 4 from 3. He definitely missed a few makeable looks during a time where we were just searching, begging for a 3. And he was just as complicit along with the rest of the team.
We had that one.
In missing those. Yes, that one. That one. Everyone had one
hey, man,
or 2.
What did we go? 25%? What did we... He was 25%,
23.
You know? We were 23% on the game. So if everybody else could have just fucking been 25%, then maybe we would have had a couple more threes.
Can't fault that logic. What else you got positive-wise? Because I really got nothing.
I do think Horford deserves positive praise as well. He ends up going 3 for 7 from 3. That's beautiful, man. If you're getting 7 attempts from Horford and you're knocking down 3 of them, that's monstrous. It felt like he should have had 10 attempts in this game. Defensively, I thought that he struggled a little bit at times, but in a game where you're searching on both ends, for him to give you 3 3-pointers was huge. And so Al Horford, and he was trying. Horford's part of the machine at this point. He's not able to take over consistently like he once was. So it's when the team is humming, he's really able to sing. And so that's, I think, why you weren't able to feel his full impact. But when you just needed something, he gave you 3 threes. I'll take that. The rebounding numbers kind of hurt with only two rebounds from Horford here, but Pritchard, Horford, Tillman, those were the three guys with single-digit negative plus minuses. Everybody else was a disaster. Jalen, negative 29. Tatum, negative 22. Derek, negative 27. Drew, negative 21. Hauser, negative 10. Cornet, negative 12. Pritchard, Horford, Tillman, all like 6 or below. So those guys, they were part of a couple of runs, so I give it to them. I just realized we didn't talk about Drew Holiday at all. That would certainly not come in the positive section of this show. But yeah.
I did mention the shitty stock exchange not paying dividends in this game. I sort of just looped Drew and Derek in together because they felt like equally shit in this game, as much as it hurts to say. But
Drew,
yeah, Al,
man,
PP, positive.
Drew's been fun. He's not destructively bad because he's only taking 7 field goals, but would it kill the man to go 4 for 7?
From 3?
Fuck, man. What the hell, dude? He had the best shooting season of his career by like a wide margin. And he has just turned into a massive brick again. Like, this might even be worse than previous years from a true shooting perspective. But yeah, across how many games have we played now? Yeah, we've played 7 games, and Drew is, what do we got here? Drew is shooting 36% from the field.
Playoff Drew.
That does have the potential to be like the one mistake of the Brad Stevens era, but
we'll yeah, well, plenty of time to unpack that in the offseason.
Prove me wrong, Drew. Prove me wrong, Drew. Plenty of time for
Drew to figure out how to be the best 5th option in the league, as he has been at times. It's all we need from you, Drew Holiday, the best 5th option in the league. Can you do it, please? But also predicated on Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum being the best 1-2 in the league, which we haven't necessarily seen. Yeah,
absolutely.
Get humming.
That's part of it. Like, he hasn't been taking a lot of open corner threes. So we've got to get this machine going. Yeah.
I didn't think we'd see, like I already mentioned it, but like the necessity for KP this soon. And you forget where the unlocking happens with KP and the whole we don't need to be prolific from 3 because we've got this like Latvian weapon who really opens us up, and even if he does catch the ball at the nail, he'll collapse the defense, and then we do get 3s out of that even if we weren't prolific before that, and so on and so forth. And when he's just not there, it's just crickets, and it's depressing, and you see games like we saw tonight, unfortunately. But ending on a positive note here, fully expect the Celtics, who have been great on the road, historically in the playoffs in the Jays era, and then great on the road in the vacuum of this regular season, fully expect them to rock up and just put the hammer down, smack down on the Cavs in this one, and potentially might have a complete repeat of exactly the format of that first round series against the Heat. I don't know. What do you think, Jake?
Oh boy. The Cavs have been good at home. They're going to be juiced. That they got a good home crowd. I think this. I think against the Magic. Agreed. They're better than the Heat. This, you got to turn up. You got to be ready to go, and I think they will be. But I think, and what's also weird about the playoffs so far, we've had 0 close games, either direction. So it's maybe the number one concern for everybody coming into the season is the crunch time stuff, and we haven't had a single crunch time game yet. So it's we got to get one eventually, surely, at some point, right? But maybe not. Maybe we come out and now it's our turn to win by 17. I'd prefer that. That'd be nice.
Well, we hadn't had the get fucking blown out game, and we just had that. So anything's possible, as a great man once said. Did you hear Gary Washburn in the post-game presser, kind of going in on Joe Mazzulla? He, I'm not going to be able to phrase this verbatim, but he was basically you guys haven't had your ass kicked like that in a long time. What went into that? And Joe was more professional than ever and did not take the bait and just was well, we got to be more intense defensively, blah, 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 blah. But Gary Washburn, threw a fastball, a hard ball at him and hit Joe right in the face. Anything else before we wrap up? I'm done talking about this game.
Just take care of your shit, man. You look at the other side of the bracket. Knicks are up 2-0. OG Anunoby has a hamstring injury. Jalen Brunson has a foot injury. Get to the fucking Eastern Conference Finals, man. Get through this series. Win the game.
They will do it. They will do it. I feel good about it.
Let's do it. Me too. Clearly.
All right, I'm just looking at some of the stuff you've uploaded to stream out here, and I'm like, can I factor this in? But maybe we can leave these for a Winnie vibes post game stream.
Yeah.
So we'll leave those for now. All right, that's going to do it for this one. Please hit that like button, subscribe. Make sure you're around on this channel for all of the winning post-game shows that we do, which is much more common around here and a lot more fun. Jake Eisenberg, love your work, mate. Until next time, go Celtics.